I would like to know why Sheffield City Council has not adhered to a legally binding European convention called the Aarhus Convention, in that it has failed dismally to consult correctly, properly and timely with the residents of Sheffield before their street trees were devastated in such a random and indiscriminate manner.
Regarding trees. So I'll take all the questions together. Then I suggest we defer a response from Council Terry Fox until the petition on the same subject is debated later. So I'll take all the questions now, but the Government's response will come later. So the next question is from, I think it is Alan Robshaw.
Good afternoon. I'm actually speaking on behalf of Alan Robshaw, who is actually the man from Sons Road who gave the 30-odd page presentation at Highways Advisory Tree Forum on the 2nd of September. And went into a private meeting with David Caulfield, Councillor Terry Fox and Tony Downey to actually get some replies that haven't been given at the public meeting, and which we are still waiting now in February for those to be addressed. But as you said, the point should be made, this is actually about questions. So the first question I'd like to ask is why our questions since May and June and the 1st of July from the council meeting haven't actually been answered. So we're here again to ask them not going to go away. So the first question is when will you answer our questions? The first thing I'd like to do, the second thing I'd like to do is then ask Alan Robshaw's question. He would preferably like to ask me directly to Jude the door, but it sounds like Councillor Fox wants to get no problem. It's regarding the end of contract and the Streets Ahead PFI £2 billion contract. Alan asks, why do you say the contract can't be changed when clauses 5.2 to 5.5 allow for changes in service, the law, in highway standards and in council policy? Thank you.
Thank you. Next one is Colette, I think it's Cameron. Hold on, I've got
Thank you. Research shows that the well-being of individuals living in urban areas is greatly improved by the presence of mature trees. For example, the quality of air, close proximity to wildlife, such as owls, etc. How do you propose to monitor and measure the impact of people's mental and physical well-being as a consequence of reducing this natural resource?
The next question is Michelle Lazenby.
Yes, hello. Like so many others, I chose to live in my neighbourhood because of the trees lining the streets. If the trees continue to be removed as proposed in such a short-sighted fashion, what measures will be taken to address the negative impacts of quality of life for the residents, whether they be human, animal or bird? And have you considered the impact upon the property values in these residential areas? People invest more to live in those places, and what happens to the property values after the trees have been removed? Will there be any financial compensation offered for the negative impact on the quality of life and monetary value?
Next question is John Johnson.
Who's going to be collating the evidence to be looked at by the independent tree panel? And where can the public view some comments on it, please?
The next question is James Manson.
Hi. We've been told that there is no budget to retain the elm tree on Chelsea Road. Road in Nether. Given that there has still been no cost-benefit analysis done on our street trees, how are you actually assessing these costs? And also, do the council acknowledge that mature large crown trees offer most in ecosystem services and that these have a monetary value?
Next question is Helen, I think it's McElroy. Get apologies about it.
Yes. Now, in the paper, I start all national joint decisions for the trade. And you'll find the tree management plan also lists so you can find the NJUG guidance. So why on 15th of January this year will planing machines and diggers photograph working right up to trees and wind gardens in the wood? Why is machinery being used within the NJUG protection zone? And how do you plan to ensure that this doesn't happen in the future? Also, now that Councillor Mr. Fox is with us, I'd like to repeat the question that I asked in his absence last week, which is where are the 143 trees that you claimed at the start of the 28th of December last year have been saved using flexible aid? Thank you.
Next question is Dr. Lisa Shetty.
Hello, can everyone hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yes.
My question is, Darren Butt, Operations Manager for AIM, has said that they have alternative specifications that have not been made public. If these specifications could be used on Snathing Lane and other places, why can't they be used citywide as solutions to retain our mature street trees?
And the final question on this topic is Louise Wilcoxon.
Well, the first thing I would like to say is I hope we won't all fall for that they're telling about property price. We've heard enough of that spin from the council for 9 months, so I certainly hope we won't be distracted by that. I'm not hearing particularly lots of nimbly whinging comments made about today. Anyway, here's the questions. How do we submit evidence to the independent tree panel? You have provided no email or any contact details to allow anybody in the city to take part in that so-called democratic process. Despite the fact that I actually emailed David Corfield on the 20th of January and previously to other councillors as well, asking on behalf of 15,000 plus petition signers for salt alone save our roadside trees, how the entire city that chose actually to submit evidence. Those might be a forest report, there might be anything, it might actually be the very letter that you had in July that you still not actually answered, and all the alternative specifications and presentations put together by Alan Robshaw that hasn't been answered on the 2nd of September. How do we know that these are going to be put in front of Mr. Andy Buck and the rest of that independent tree panel, which is so independent, obviously, we've had no say in it. The second question is, how many streets will be covered at each independent tree panel sitting? Because the way things are going at the moment, simply maybe as it goes along, we wouldn't surprise us if we decided to do all 36 streets in one sitting in 1 hour. Because the makeup of that, in terms of reference, how it's working, how evidence is submitted, is completely obfuscated as usual. So far more information needs to come out about that if it is truly democratic, as Jeremy Corbyn would like the Labour Party to be. And just to knock one more thing on the head as well, there's been some charges that somehow these trees are political. They're not political. The first people to bring it up in the media are actually the Labour Party, who said that somehow it became political. You have lost a lot of Labour voters, actually. If it was political, you lost your Labour votes. Okay?
I suggest we defer a response to those questions until later in the meeting from Councillor Terry Fox. The next question then is from Mr. Mark Newman. Mr. Newman.